Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon. We are back with another video. Today we're diving in to do an updated price prediction video for Cardano by the peak of this cycle. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button below, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin waiting for you in the description below the video. Make sure to grab that and let's talk about Cardano. Okay, so looking at the technicals on the chart, Cardano is sitting at around 93 cents here, having had a pretty nice move to the upside since these June lows. If we measure that on a percentage basis, we're up, roughly speaking, 78% since the middle of June. So this price action with these higher lows is actually pretty nice from a technical standpoint for Cardano. But if you've been watching the channel for a while, I'm not the biggest fan of Cardano. I prefer to see layer one blockchains getting adopted, protocols getting built out on top of them, TVLs increasing over time. We're going to break all that down in today's video and make sure you stick around until the end for the actual price prediction. But the technicals on the chart here actually not looking too bad overall. If we draw a very simple trend line here, going from these highs back in, let's say, roughly speaking, the end of November last year, drawing these to the body of these candles, we're brushing right up on this level of resistance right now. I'd love to see Cardano try and break out of this to move higher, but you can see we got rejected here once again in the middle of August. So is this Cardano's chance to break above this and truly move all the way to, I guess, retest these previous highs from the end of November, somewhere around that $1.20 to $1.25. If we zoom out on the chart, though, we can see that previous cycle all-time highs were somewhere up in this kind of $2.95 to $3 region. This was a phenomenal run-up for Cardano in the previous cycle, getting all the way up to a $90 billion market cap. And again, there was not a huge amount of things happening on chain. There was no protocols built out on top of it and very little happening from a DeFi standpoint. So again, the fall from grace that Cardano has been pretty monumental. Can they recover that in this cycle? Let's see, and I'll break down my price targets in just a moment. Again, like I was saying, if we jump over to DeFi Llama, there's not a huge amount of growth happening here from Cardano from a TVL standpoint and decentralized finance. So again, as a layer one protocol, I prefer to see a nice growth trajectory with regards to protocols and adoption on chain. And that's just not happening on Cardano to any real extent. We've got about $400 million of total value locked in DeFi TVL. We can see back in December, it actually got up to about 650 million. But you have a number of protocols that are integrating with Cardano as a network, as a chain, and helping to contribute to TVL, but nothing too riveting here in terms of actual growth. We obviously peaked up in December 24, and we haven't managed to get back anywhere close to that $686 million of TVL. We've had bits and pieces of spikes along the way, but this TVL growth just doesn't get me too excited about what's actually happening with builders, developers, and protocols being built out on top of Cardano. So that's one thing to remember here when you're thinking about allocating your own capital and investing it in layer one protocols. You want to see the growth happening on chain. You want to see adoption. And just this picture that I'm seeing here is not painting a very rosy picture of adoption and growing TVL. So keep that in mind. Again, nothing in this video is financial advice, guys. Always do your own research, but make sure you're looking at what's happening on chain with adoption and TVL growth. However, I do have to give credit where credit is due. And one of the things that Cardano has going for it compared to some other protocols is the fact that we actually have not seen a huge amount of growth in terms of token dilution and circulating supply here over the past few years since those highs back in August of 2021. You can see here we've got just under 36 billion Cardano tokens in circulation here out of a maximum supply of 45 billion. But if we cast our minds back, this is CoinMarketCap historical snapshot going all the way back to August of 2021 when we had those previous highs for Cardano. You can see we had about 32 billion Cardano's tokens in circulation at that time. So we have not seen a huge amount of growth. We've seen a very small amount of growth going from 32 billion up to 36 billion where we're at today, but that is very, very small growth compared to a lot of other protocols who have had, 50, 60, even 80% increases in token circulating supply since their 2021 highs. And so I have to give credit to Cardano. We haven't seen huge amounts of token dilution since the previous cycle, which could mean it will be helpful for price action because you're not going to see more token dilution or a large amount of token dilution between now and the coming months. And that means that price action, if we get a bit of a demand for the token itself, could squeeze upwards pretty nicely for Cardano over the rest of this cycle. So the technicals on the chart looking pretty nice. Obviously, we're retesting this trend line. Like I said, I'd love to see us try break above this and keep moving higher. The next key level of resistance after that being somewhere around $1.13, $1.14. So let's see if Cardano can make this move. I think Bitcoin and it moving higher is going to set the precedence for more capital to rotate into ETH and subsequently into the larger caps like Cardano. So let's wait and see what happens there. And without further ado, guys, I want to give you that update on our price prediction. The final chart I want to look at is Cardano dominance, though, because since we made the last price prediction for Cardano just a few months ago, we have seen a small decline in the dominance level for Cardano as well. Now, this is looking nice on a more macro perspective when you look at the higher lows being put in here for Cardano over the past number of months with its dominance increasing. But compared to the last time I made a video, we are down ever so slightly in dominance percentage terms. I think we were up at about 0.87. Now we're down at 0.83. And so we need to see Cardano try to continue moving to the upside here because this chart looks nice since June of this year. But if we zoom out to a weekly, we can clearly see the pattern here has been a much larger series of lower highs over time. And again, we need to see dominance trying to break out of this downtrend that it's been in to move back towards this kind of 1% and 1.5% area. So we can see we got all the way up to 4.48% dominance for Cardano at the peak of the previous cycle. Personally, I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to that type of dominance for Cardano this time around. And so we have to benchmark where we think we're going to get to by zooming in here a little bit further and seeing whether Cardano can push higher towards these previous levels of resistance on the chart for dominance and get back up to retest this 1.5% area. So without further ado, jumping over to the actual price prediction here, guys, my bear case scenario. And just remember, we do have to plug in certain variables into this equation. We have to plug in the variable for dominance and obviously a small increase in the circulating supply over the coming months. And so in the bear case, what I'm thinking is total crypto market cap could peak somewhere close to $5 trillion if Cardano can get back up to a 1.2% dominance area by the peak of the cycle. That's going to get us to around $60 billion in market cap for Cardano. Dividing that by 36 billion tokens gets us out to a $1.66 price target for Cardano by the peak of the cycle. That is not a very exciting number, especially for some of you who have been following Cardano for a number of years. Obviously, looking at those previous highs at $2.90, you're not getting too excited about that $1.66 price target. But if we look at the base case, I think we could see total crypto market cap moving towards $7 trillion. If Cardano can get back up to 1.4% dominance, that's going to give us a $98 billion market cap. Dividing it by 36 billion tokens, once again, gets us to a $2.72 price target for Cardano by the peak of the cycle in my base case scenario. And finally, last but definitely not least, we have the most bullish case scenario. If we can see total crypto market cap getting back up to this $9 trillion area, and if we can see Cardano getting up to 1.6% dominance, that's going to give us a $144 billion market cap and bring us all the way to a new all-time high for Cardano of $4 by the peak of the cycle in my most bullish case scenario. Drop me a comment below, guys. Where do you think the price of Cardano is going to go to by the peak of the cycle? Are you holding Cardano yourself? What are your thoughts on my numbers. I want to gather some sentiment and feedback in the comments, so make sure to drop them below. That is it for today's video, guys. Remember, if you got any value out of today's Cardano price prediction, please just take 3 seconds under my finger on the screen right now. Let's do it. There's this thumbs up button. Make sure to smash it before you leave this video. I would really appreciate it. It helps to spread the good word. Make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification icon as well. And remember, you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin waiting for you in the description of this video. Go ahead and grab that, and we'll catch you in the next one.